you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Hello and welcome to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Cynthia, and I have no co-host today. It is just me, your girl, Cynthia, Sin, whatever you want to call me. So you guys have to bear with me and listen to my lovely voice this whole show. No, I'm kidding. But I hope you all had a wonderful weekend. I went to Lake Tahoe, which is on the border of California and Nevada, for those of you who don't know. I went to the snow, which I know Sarah always laughs about me going to the snow because she's from Montana. So the snow comes to you, right? I have to go to the snow. So I went for a friend's birthday and it was a great time. I stayed in a cabin and I absolutely loved it. It was very relaxing and fun and definitely not what we're going to get into today. But I just wanted to mention that for those of you who care about my weekend plans or what happened during the weekend. All right. And the topic of discussion today, I hold it very close to my heart because a family member of mine, someone who I love dearly, has this condition. And I feel like this is something that it's not talked about a lot because not a lot of people have even heard of this condition. And it's called fibromyalgia. Now, for those of you who don't know, I'm going to run it down for y'all. So I'm going to tell you what it is, the signs and symptoms of fibromyalgia, and how to treat it. So in a nutshell, it's a condition that causes pain, widespread pain all over the body, and can also cause sleep problems, fatigue, and often emotional and mental distress. Now, I care about this topic a lot because my mom was diagnosed with fibromyalgia in 2016. And everyone's symptoms and the intensity of how fibromyalgia hits somebody is different for each individual. So I want to tell you guys a little bit of my mom's experience and how she's been dealing with it. So like I said, she was diagnosed with fibro a few years back. Her symptoms actually started as soon as she'd wake up and she put pressure on her feet. She wasn't even able to walk normally, even a few steps to the bathroom. The bottom of her feet hurt so much and she had to tiptoe. So I can't even imagine the pain my mom was going through. And it makes me so sad to even think about it. And she started with leg pain and then it went to her arm and she wasn't sure if it was like her muscle, was it her tendon, her joint. She was very unsure, but she just knew that it was unbearable, excruciating pain. And it traveled throughout her body and it was very unpredictable when the pain would come. It would just come sparingly throughout the day. Nothing would really cause it. It wasn't like, oh, every time she sat at her desk, the pain came, or every time she was driving. It was nothing like that. It was very unpredictable. And I think that's what's the most frustrating part is just, you never know when it's going to come. And again, I'm just speaking from my mom's experience. So she was just experiencing pain in different areas and she started experiencing fatigue and insomnia. So my mom did have some sleep disturbances due to fibro. So I just wanted to introduce the topic, first explaining my mom's story, and I'm going to dive in more into what fibromyalgia is, because to be honest, I've never even heard of this chronic condition until my mom was diagnosed with it. And that's really when I wanted to educate myself and learn more about fibro and how to, you can't cure it. There's no cure for it, but you can definitely, there's ways to maintain it and help with the pain. So it actually affects about 4 million U.S. adults, and it's most common in the middle-aged women with the ratio of about 8-2, so women over men. So definitely more prominent against females, but men can definitely get it as well. And the literal translation of the word fibromyalgia is pain in the muscles, ligaments, and tendons. And it's estimated that it takes an average of 5 years for a person with fibromyalgia to receive an accurate diagnosis. And I can 100% confirm this. I remember all the doctor visits my mom had to go through. She was and my mom's young, you guys. She's not even 50 yet. And she's strong. I mean, I was confused too, and I was frustrated with doctors because I'm like, why is my mom feeling this way? And she felt like every time she went in, it was a different answer. And I mean, I'm so happy I've never really had to experience any health concern like that. So I'm sorry if you do, because I can't even begin to describe or even wrap my mind up around the frustration for patients and how you must feel if you are going through some chronic health concern. So 5 years of not being diagnosed and not knowing what's going on with your body, I can't even imagine. I would go insane if I didn't know like what's going on, and my frustration would just build up. And fibromyalgia, it usually coexists with other chronic health conditions such as lupus, thyroid, hormone resistance, and rheumatoid arthritis, which my background, I was a personal trainer and I worked at a slow motion strength training facility. And these conditions were something that I saw a lot with my clients. Like I trained a lot of clients who suffered from fibro, but also with lupus, thyroid conditions, all of that. So I'm very familiar with this realm due to my personal training experience and as well as my mom's, her own health journey. And the underlying cause or causes of fibro still remain unknown, a mystery. But scientists and doctors, they are paying special attention to the central nervous system. So if you don't know the central nervous system, that, your nerve system is what controls pretty much all the sensations and movements that your body makes. So they're building hypotheses that the central nervous system could be the underlying mechanism of fibromyalgia. So there still needs to be more research done. Like I said, crazy thing when I was researching about fibro and kind of like the origin of this condition, it actually used to be considered a mental health disorder. It wasn't even classified as some type of arthritis, which fibro is. It falls under the umbrella of rheumatoid arthritis. There's over 100 types of arthritis, you guys, and fibro is just one of them. But doctors back then, like centuries ago, used to classify fibro as a mental health illness, saying that patients were making this pain perception is in your head, pretty much. That was my understanding of when I was researching that, that was shocking to me, because I'm like, if someone's constantly telling you, a patient's constantly telling doctors, I'm suffering from pain and I'm feeling this and I'm feeling discomfort here, and the doctor just kind of dismisses that's alarming. And I'm a little biased too, because I'm more into holistic healing and I try to avoid the doctor as much as I can. That's just me. I mean, everyone takes their health and, in different ways and how you want to heal yourself. I just personally don't like going to the doctor. So that was just very alarming to me when I was reading that they actually used to consider fibro a mental health disorder and not a rheumatoid arthritis situation. And again, they're still finding common links of the origin of fibro, such as arthritis, a traumatic event can even cause, or mental health issues. Again, those are all hypotheses of doctors and scientists. There still needs to be more research done on exactly what it is, what causes fibromyalgia. And for each individual who does suffer from this condition, it differs from patient to patient. So what the symptoms my mom might have gone through or experiencing may not apply to another person. And we're going to take a first quick break right now. And when we come back, I'm going to talk about some signs and symptoms of fibromyalgia. So we'll be right back.
Still on the search of that one true love? On the limbo in this crazy world of dating, marriage, relationships? Well, listen to the Golden State Media Concepts Relationship Podcast, your one-stop podcast for everything about relationships.
Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast, and we're going to get right into the signs and symptoms of fibromyalgia. And as I previously mentioned in the first segment, each of these symptoms and signs and the severity of it differs from person to person. So again, not one person may not experience all these. Some people may experience just one or two. So just to put that out there. So I'm going to get into the symptoms right now. So as I said earlier, so most people who have fibromyalgia experience pain and stiffness all over the body, like tenderness, which my mom definitely experiences. Tenderness and like the sense of touch can even irritate her body. Fatigue, sleep disturbances can cause also depression and anxiety. Cognitive difficulties, so such as like problems with thinking, your memory and concentration, and headaches, migraines, tingling or numbness in your hands or feet, and some digestive problems such as abdominal pains, constipation, and bloating. Now, when I was reading these symptoms, I immediately, I was like doing a checklist, right? Because I was just thinking of my mom, like, wow, she experiences almost all of these. And again, I can't even like fathom the pain because I'm a baby, right? Like I like to generally say that I stay healthy like 90% of the time. Like I never get sick. I shouldn't say never, actually. Knock on wood, because I don't want to like all of a sudden get sick. But I usually, to be honest, I don't tend to get sick frequently. I know some people like get colds or flus often. I rarely get a cold or a flu. So, and once when I do get sick, I'm the biggest baby. Like I want my mom to just mommy me and take care of me. And I can't even imagine someone who experiencing all of these things, like waking up in the morning, just experiencing tremendous pain all over your body or tenderness or experiencing digestive problems. Like, I'm so sorry if you or someone close to you experiences any type of health problem, because again, I like to consider myself a pretty healthy individual. So that's that. All right. So those are just some signs and symptoms of fibro. And I want to get into now how fibromyalgia can be treated, or not treated, but how you can, I guess, help with the pain. Because fibromyalgia there's no cure. Once you have it, and you just got to live your life and, just try to go with the flow with that condition. And I would suggest if I read the symptoms and you're somebody listening and you're like, oh shoot, like that could be me or I'm experiencing most of these symptoms, I would suggest probably go to a rheumatologist. So those are doctors who specialize in fibromyalgia and arthritis and that whole kind of umbrella of chronic health. So doctors usually treat fibromyalgia with a combination of treatments, which may include medication, of course, including prescription drugs and over-the-counter pain relievers, which my mom uses medication, and she uses, actually, I got her onto CBD cream. So that was a huge win for me because, as I said, I'm more into natural remedies. I'm not big on taking pills or medicine. Like, ever since I was a little girl, I hated taking medicine. That's just how I've always been. And my mom, I just didn't like her always like seeing her pop pills. Not in that way, like not a drugs, but like, you know, just like living your life off medication. Like, I just don't believe that's the way to, you know, go with your life. I feel like you can really heal your body through your food, your lifestyle, exercise. Like, I truly believe that and I stand by that. And again, that's just my opinion and what's worked for me and my body. So not saying that, oh, all medication's bad. Absolutely not. There's some people who absolutely need it, but I'm just stating off my mom's case. So she uses medication and CBD cream and she loves it. And I highly suggest CBD products or some type of CBD cream. Again, it's not THC. There's no psychoactive properties in CBD. So it's not going to get you that like high, you feel me? So my mom was really skeptical when I first brought up the subject of using CBD products and CBD cream. And she just denied it, right? She's like, no, like, I don't like to use that stuff because my mom's super old fashioned. So she immediately thought it was marijuana I was referring to. And I just went ahead. I bought her some CBD cream and she said she had the best night's sleep in a long time. She rubbed it on her lower back, her upper back, and just like all over her body. And she said that immediately, like within 5 minutes, she felt her body much more relaxed, calmer, and she was able to sleep like a baby. So I suggest from personal, this is not doctor recommended. This is Cynthia recommended, all right? I recommend using CBD products, oils, creams, whatever you want, to help relieve some pain if you do experience fibromyalgia or just any type of like body soreness or pain. All right. And other ways you can kind of treat fibro: aerobic exercise and muscle strengthening exercise, such as lifting weights. This doesn't mean bodybuilding. This just means, you know, you can literally use like little cute 5-pound dumbbells from Target and do some exercises with it. I got my mom to do it. I'm on her about it. And again, that's why I worked at a slow motion strength training facility. So a lot of my clients, I worked with many clients with several different chronic health conditions, and a lot of them had fibro. And I can, again, state from personal experience, from what I observed and from training clients for the last year and a half, that strength training, resistance really helps strengthen and makes people who have fibromyalgia feel stronger. So I highly suggest exercise. Again, it doesn't mean like lifting crazy like weights or doing CrossFit. This is just like even walking laps in the pool. I heard that's really great. So aerobic exercise and muscle strengthening exercise, highly recommend. Other ways to treat fibro: take patient education classes. They usually offer these type of classes in primary care or community settings, but patient education classes I included. This is mainly, again, to educate yourself if you do experience this chronic health issue. Educate yourself on what exactly it is you're experiencing, get familiar with the condition. And I think it's also just for like your mental health. So something else I didn't mention. So like I said, usually fibromyalgia coexists with some other mental or physical health condition. And from fibro, my mom actually as well got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. And I feel like taking care, especially when you're experiencing a physical health problem, your mental health takes a toll. Like I said, you're doing all these doctor visits, you're paying loads of money for medication. Maybe you're living in poverty and like you can't even afford the medication. So it's just, your mental health is so important. And I feel that's why these patient education classes are so important. Just making sure you have the control of your health, of your life. So again, I get very passionate about this because I mean, my own mom goes through this, so I'm seeing firsthand, all of these struggles she goes through. And I love, I see my mom as a very strong woman. She is from the inside out. And when she's experiencing like a lot of tenderness and pain throughout her body, I'm just like, I feel like it's my duty as a daughter to take matters into my own hands and educate myself and provide my mom with additional information about her condition. So that's why I'm getting so into this. So, and moving on. So the next way you can help treat fibromyalgia, stress management techniques such as meditation, yoga, get a nice body massage, rub down. Again, I feel like that kind of ties into your mental health to just de-stress and just break away from the constant pain one must be suffering due to fibro. And then practicing, getting good sleeping habits to improve the quality of your sleep. So put your phone down. They say it's not the best idea to scroll through Instagram right before you go to bed. So, just find remedies to go to sleep and get that good quality of sleep, right? And final thing is cognitive behavioral therapy to treat underlying depression. So again, not everyone who has fibro experiences depression, but if you are someone who experiences depression and you're trying to find a way to kind of help heal, relieve that, CBT for short, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a type of talk therapy. It's meant to change the way people act or think. So yeah, I guess you can just call it like therapy. So again, I'll go through these once again. If you have somebody in your life who has fibro and you want to pass this information along, I'm going to go through it again. So get a pen and paper or whatever and your notes and your phone. So ways to treat fibro: medication, aerobic exercise / muscle strengthening exercise, CBD products, patient education classes, stress management techniques like meditation, yoga, massage, practicing good sleeping habits to improve the quality of your sleep, and final one, cognitive behavioral therapy or just, talk therapy. And we're going to get into another quick break. And when I come back, I'm going to share with you guys 5 celebrities who also suffer from fibromyalgia. We'll be right back.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC Health and Wellness Podcast. Right before the break, I was discussing some signs and symptoms of fibromyalgia. And moving on, I'm going to share with you guys 5 celebrities who also suffer with this chronic health condition. Now, when I was looking up like what celebrities, who has it, there was more than 5, but I just chose 5 cases that really stood out to me. And they stood out to me for different reasons. Each individual celebrity that I'm going to mention experienced a different level of pain from fibromyalgia, and they all experience it. It's just very different, each of their cases, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say. So let's get into it. First one, and this one shocked me. Morgan Freeman. This one shocked me because I feel like Morgan Freeman, he seems like, he's a very famous actor and he's all over movies, and he seems like, to me, my perspective, like a relatively healthy guy. So I was pretty shocked when I saw him on the list of celebrities with fibromyalgia. And it also shocked me. Well, not really shocked me, but again, as I stated, fibro is more commonly found within middle-aged women. The ratio is 8-2, women to men. So Morgan Freeman falls under that category. So in 2008, he was involved in an almost fatal car crash that left him with multiple injuries, including a broken arm, elbow, and some shoulder and nerve damage. And in an interview with Esquire magazine, he revealed his condition of having and experiencing excruciating pain from fibromyalgia, and explained how ever since that fatal car crash back in 2008, it stopped him from doing certain activities that he loved, such as sailing. And if you see him now, I actually was like Googling pictures of Morgan Freeman. He wears a single compression glove on his left hand, and that's due to the car crash that he had, the almost fatal one. And in his case, doctors were linking the car crash is what caused him to now have fibromyalgia. As I said, there's no hard evidence, scientific based evidence that traumatic events are linked to fibromyalgia, but that's a hypothesis, and that's why I wanted to include Morgan Freeman as the very first celebrity that I mentioned. And how he deals with the pain, he actually said in that Esquire magazine interview that he's a marijuana user. So I'm not sure exactly if he takes like THC drops, if he smokes it. I'm not sure exactly, but it just says that he's a marijuana user, and he said that's the best remedy he's found. And just like my mom, she uses CBD, he uses marijuana. So marijuana obviously has these psychoactive effects that my mom does not want. So each to their own. I mean, it's legal here in California. Not sure where you're from, but I'm assuming Morgan Freeman stays in California or New York or somewhere where it's legal. So that's the first celebrity I wanted to mention. Second one is Lady Gaga. I had no idea. Again, this one shocked me as well, because Lady Gaga, she's a musician, performer. She's on stage. She has energy. And again, one of the symptoms of fibro is experiencing pain and tenderness all throughout your body and joints. So can you imagine, you're on tour and you start having a flare up? I don't know how Lady Gaga does it, but in her recent documentary, Gaga 5'2", she revealed she suffers from chronic pain, and she mentions fibromyalgia. And when I was reading her case, I actually found she posted on Instagram once, and I couldn't find the exact date when she shared this photo, but she took it to Instagram, a picture of just her collarbone shoulder area, and it looked like she was getting a massage on the side of her neck. And she captioned it how hard it is being, the status that she has as a performer, musician, and then experiencing these flare-ups. But again, I can't quite remember the caption or when the photo was posted, but I saw it in the article. So already Morgan Freeman and Lady Gaga, those two stood out to me. And I had no idea that they even were experiencing any type of chronic health pain, and how hard that must be with their jobs. Their jobs are very high demand. So kudos to them, because I don't know how they do it. Next one is Kyle Richards. So she is on Real Desperate Housewives, and she became sick once her mom got sick and passed from breast cancer. And initially, when she was experiencing like all the symptoms, doctors were just telling her that she was just experiencing depression. but she didn't buy it. So she sought out a rheumatologist, and the rheumatologist confirmed her diagnosis. So again, that's why I mentioned earlier that if you do think you may potentially fall or have fibromyalgia, I suggest start off with the rheumatologist and see what they say, or get referred to one, because again, they do specialize in this. So they're the ones who are the most knowledgeable about this condition. And also in her case as well with Kyle Richards, she states that she started experiencing the fibromyalgia effects once her mom passed away. So that could also be linked to traumatic events. But again, this is all hypothesis. So there's nothing set in stone stating these are what caused fibro. So it's still an ongoing investigation on doctors and scientists' part. And her way of healing her pain, Kyle Richards, she actually sought out an energy healer to treat the chronic health pain. So again, some people use marijuana. I couldn't find out what Lady Gaga, what's her remedy, but I'm assuming from that Instagram post that I saw, she was getting a massage. So Morgan Freeman, weed, Lady Gaga, a massage, Kyle Richards, energy healing. So again, each individual kind of takes their own route, tries different things to help with the pain. Fourth celebrity is Janine Garofalo. She's a stand-up comedian, and her way of coping with fibromyalgia, she actually talks about it in her stand-up comedy routines. So she definitely uses humor and laughter to cope with the pain she experiences. And one time she jokingly said, I quote, "I had no idea I was chronically dissatisfied." She jokingly said about being prescribed an antidepressant for her fibromyalgia. So Janine Garofalo, I couldn't get enough information on how severe her fibromyalgia is, and I'm assuming that her way of dealing with the pain and living with it is just laughing about it. So everyone copes in different methods, different ways. And the fifth and final case/celebrity who lives with fibromyalgia is Mary McDowell. So the actress was diagnosed with fibro and lupus, actually. So both of these diseases that often overlap. She was diagnosed with fibro, lupus, and depression. And her case was really severe from when I was reading. So she believed that the condition developed after having an adverse reaction to breast implants, which there's a lot of talk right now, breast implant illness, which I feel like I'm going to talk about in a different week's episode, because there's so much craze and talk around breast implant illness, and that's essentially what she had. I mean, she's almost 60, so back then there was no such thing as breast implant illness, and the implants she had were silicone. So for those of you who never got a boob job, they don't recommend silicone anymore, right? I mean, that's an inanimate object in your bodies that you shouldn't be putting in. So in her case, she started experiencing fibromyalgia after having the horrible reaction to her implants. And sadly, it was 10 years of being undiagnosed and no treatment whatsoever. And her pain and discomfort got to the point where she was in so much excruciating pain that she couldn't even lift her daughter. I mean, that is just absolutely terrible, to the point where you can't even lift your own daughter. And in Mary McDowell's case, I feel like her situation, her condition with fibro and her experience was even more dreadful and hard than the normal person, because she went 10 years not being diagnosed, not being treated. But she also said in an interview that, again, medical technology wasn't as advanced as it was now, and they dismissed her symptoms as being a mental health issue. So again, this fibromyalgia was just very interesting topic for me to talk about on today's episode, and I'm very invested in it because my mom experiences it, and I just want to pass all of this information on to you listeners. Maybe you've never heard of the condition, so I'm here educating y'all on fibro, and maybe as I'm listing all the symptoms and the issues and how you can treat it, I hope all of this information is useful to some of you. You maybe share this podcast show episode to someone who experiences fibro. And yeah, and that's just, you guys, that's going to end today's episode. And I want to thank you guys so much for listening to today's show. Again, I was super excited to talk about fibromyalgia and educate y'all on what it is and how to treat it, and even share some interesting facts about which celebrities that we all know who suffer with this chronic health condition. And I mean, fibromyalgia and any other health issue does not discriminate, right? Whether you're rich or poor, celebrity or not, it affects whoever. And if you do experience this, I wish you, not a speedy recovery, because you can't 100% recover from this, but I wish you the best in finding ways to cope and heal your body and heal your mental health. If this is disturbing your mental health, I just wish you all healthy, happy lives. That's what I'm all about. And again, if you liked today's episode, please leave some nice comments. Rate this, actually. Let's rate it. And comment and like and subscribe and share and all of that good stuff. I love interacting with you guys. So let me know what you guys think. And don't forget to tune in to next week's episode for the Health and Wellness podcast. And I wish you all a healthy and happy week. And catch me next week at GSMC Health and Wellness podcast.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Health and Wellness Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.